Hey, welcome to another video in which I'll tell you whether it's worth it to delve in 3.21 Crucible League. As an intro, I will say, no matter how good the profit is of a strat, I won't recommend you do it if you actively hate the content. For a few leagues now, I've been wanting to try multiple mechanics I usually skip over or have very little knowledge about. So after disliking current Crucible League mechanic, I've decided this is the league that I'm going to deep dive into these mechanics I'd usually just block on my Atlas, and today we're starting with Delve. Just as a quick disclaimer, I wasn't sure if I was going to make a video on this, so I don't have concrete time spent or currency gained. Everything will be approximate and your experience may vary. I'm basically making this video as a wrap up of my week plus time in Delve, as I'm starting to get bored of it and want to move on to my next mapping project. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, why Delve? I started playing the game in 3.15 Expedition League, and when I first tried the mechanic out, I was bored out of my mind. Since then, GGG has made some changes to the mechanic, specifically auto-delving you to depth 100 once you hit, I believe, around level 90. This gets through the quote-unquote boring section of Delve and gets you to the bulk of the good rewards. When you are delving, you are mainly looking for two things: fossil crafting materials, that includes fossils and resonators, and boss uniques. Starting with fossil crafting materials, resonators are plentiful and sell decently quickly in bulk, and the high-end fossils like fractured, faceted, and glyphic go for about 45 to 100 C depending on the fossil, and you'll see them pretty often.
Oh, don't kill the fisher.
For boss uniques, you're looking to kill all for his helmet, which goes about for a divine, and his amulet, which unidentified goes for about 4.5 divines, and if you gamble and hit something like Envy, 35 divines. Or the Vault Architect, which can drop the Doriani's Machinaria map, which goes for about a divine. The Abyssal Lich is not worth doing at all. Most of the bubblegum currency you get inside of the cities and behind broken walls and in the currency nodes aren't that great. They usually add up to from anywhere from like 1C to about like 5 or 6 depending on what drops. I've seen about 4-ish raw divines in my entire week of Delve. There will be large stretches where you will go without finding an all, only to find one and have them drop a ring as a single unique drop. It sells for about 15C. For fossil nodes, you're looking out for Molten Cavity, Humid Fissure, Time Lost Cavern, and Crystal Spire is okay. These are all decently common and will make up for the large stretches where you don't have any bosses to fight. Now for how you delve, I believe that there's two different methods. Method 1 is to go into the darkness, look for chests, broken walls, and loot those. The other is to just rush through all the mobs straight to the next node. I would suggest that you do a mixture of both depending on which biome you are in. I believe that the non-fossil rewards from these broken walls are not worth the time running around in darkness, picking up a resonator or two here and there, when you could just be moving toward larger rewards in bosses and special fossils. It doesn't seem very worth. Here on the PoE wiki, you'll see these fossils and in which biomes they spawn in. So based off this information, I usually look for breakable walls in Frozen Hollow, Sulfur Vents, Petrified Forest, and Fungal Caverns. I usually just rush through the rest. If you don't really want to remember which biomes have good fossils, I would just choose the Darkness Farm in Frozen Hollow and run through the rest. Now to talk about the depth you should delve at, you can see the weights on which these biomes spawn at on the PoE wiki as well. You'll see for Primeval Ruins, which spawns all, you'll need to be at least at depth 220. So at the minimum, I would say delve at around 250 because you end up being able to see about 10 depth above the area you are delving at. From there, the weight for the spawns is all the way down at depth 600, which is very deep and very difficult in terms of mods and overall monster strength. So unless you have a very strong build, I would say just stay at that 250-ish range. Talking about builds for a bit, I would recommend a tanky build that has a spammable movement skill like Shield Charge, Leap Slam, or Whirling Blades. I also believe that phasing is near required in Delve. You also need a decent amount of regeneration in order to survive going into the darkness to break the walls, and you'll want enough damage in order to kill the bosses in a decent amount of time. Now, talking about my profit, I've made about 60 to 70 divines doing Delve over the past week or so, including the mapping portion, which I'll touch on a little bit after this. I do play for multiple hours a day, and of course it mostly comes down to how often you see these valuable fossil and boss nodes. For the mapping portion, I usually swap over to my lightning arrow character to get through these maps really quickly and get a bunch of sulfite, and then swap back over to my other character to Delve. In order to get through these maps very quickly, I took a strategy in which I am incentivized to rush through the map and get on to the next map. I have a pretty standard wandering path shadow shaping tree in order to get 100% chance to drop an additional connected map, along with shadow shaping, which makes it so that you can't drop maps that aren't your favorite maps. And here you'll see that I am blocking off a lot of the maps that surround Crimson Temple and Sulfur Vents, so that these maps have a 100% chance to drop each other. That way I'm able to bank up a lot of Crimson Temple maps to bulk sell, while also not needing any map sustain. The only juicing I am doing for the map is adding a polished sulfite scarab. For the rest of the tree, I've taken heist, as it is very quick to do. You just open it and grab it and loot. And I also take this delirium mirror. Chance down here, up here, and this increased chance to drop delirium orbs. I'm doing a strat called fast delirium, where you just look to get to 5 rewards as quickly as possible, end the encounter, and hopefully loot some delirium orbs. Other than that, I've taken all the map duplication nodes in order to have more map sustain, higher map tier chance in order to get more tier 16 maps, and all the delve nodes in order to get increased sulfite from the sulfite veins and chests, and get more Nico Master missions for when I go back to juiced mapping and want packed with energy. To show you a little bit how the mapping looks like, I usually don't even alch my maps. Sulfite Scarab, normal. I'm going to be rushing through this map, basically just killing everything that's in my way. Oh, we got a deli mirror, so we're going to look for 5 reward tiles in the bottom. Just going to kill a bunch of stuff, just run through the map mostly. Pick up the sulfite, of course. We got our map, so I am not going to worry about picking up maps from now on. I'll pick this contract. Moment. Usually just don't read and take the ones that change the mobs, because our mob count isn't going to be very, our pack size isn't very high because we don't chisel or alch the maps. As you see, we'll get a bunch of random double maps, but so many tickets. Just because of the increase in map tier mod we take on the Atlas. The moment we hit 5 rewards, I usually just end the delirium encounter. Just makes everything else longer. You see we get a delirium orb here. And I am out. I will say the best part about Delve is the input cost is nearly 0. If you wanted to, you could just take Stream of Consciousness, not buy any scarabs, and just run the Nico Master missions you get in order to bring your mapping cost to actual 0. I use polished sulfite scarabs because I want to save the master missions, and there were less than 2C when I bought them. I will say this week of Delve has really improved my view on the mechanic, And I think it's actually a very decent league start where you don't have all the currency to juice your maps. I had a lot of fun, but it's been a week and I am starting to get bored. I think I'm moving on to Ritual next, which I haven't touched at all. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Let me know if you would like to see a video on that once I get done with my mapping project in Ritual. Again, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like the video, subscribe, you know. If you have any questions, I'm usually in the comment section, so please feel free to leave a comment. Thanks.